and you're back here? Yeah. So we ended up being, very friendly later on, but it was a little tenuous.
Yeah, I can imagine. So here you are in this brand, and I remember when Monster was emerging. I mean, I don't want to say it took the world by storm because Red Bull was everywhere.
Right.
But you knew something was going to happen with that brand.
Absolutely.
Yeah, you could feel it. Monster was one of those brands where you could feel it in the air. It's coming.
Hindsight, when I was selling Dark Dog, and there was Monster present in a couple distributors throughout Southern California. And I saw it on the pallets, and there were sales guys that were buying some shares in the company, that kind of thing. Just because it was public company under the Hansen's Natural.
Yeah.
Interesting. And so in 2002, when they brought it out, it was a big can. What are you going to do with that? But in 2006, in the U.S., it became easier to sell, I'd say.
Yeah, sure.
It became more recognizable. The brand was visible. It resonated with the average person and the athletic and auto sports, motorsports, two-wheel, four-wheel, off-road, and all those things.
What other positions did you hold at Monster?
Well, the DSD analyst position evolved into the director of trade development, there was a really wonderful gentleman named Mike Schott, who was the senior VP of sales, and he had a guy, Dan Zuckerman, that worked for him, and they did all the sales programming for the salespeople, all the incentives and so forth, and then maintained the scoreboard and for how people got paid, things like that. Well, I was doing enough, but it just seemed natural to, if you're taking all the programming and making sure that that's all good and things are coming in the right way, and you're working with distributors and being able to see what they're billing back for programming and discounts and post offs and so forth. You could kind of you could look at the two and see when things didn't match up, when things used to jump out. So I knew sales, I knew distribution, and I knew sales management, and I knew the accounting portion of it, the analyst side. So they just kind of married that, and I started going out and training some of the salespeople on this new technique for accounting for their daily accomplishments. Everything was paper at that time.
Sure.
Mark Hall sat me down one day, director of trade development. He says, and working for the vice president of sales. He says, hey, I want you to come up with an electronic. I want you to go look at PDAs and look at all these things and come up with an electronic way we can manage daily accomplishments for all these guys across the U.S. Okay. Dan Zuckerman and I go out, and that's our new mission. Is how do we account in this wonderful process of people's daily accomplishments and hold them accountable and then pay accordingly, but in an electronic form. So we did. And we went through every hardware, software, PDA, everything from the books that you carry on your, strapped around your neck. And we ended up with, I sat down with a sheet of square paper, graph paper, and we had interviewed lots of software suppliers who were doing shelf management at the time. And I little squares and told them what I wanted and what I wanted it to calculate into, and worked with Dan and drew the lines of, where we wanted this whole daily accountability thing to go. And one of our software developers down in IT sat down with us, and he says, I can do that. I can do that on a BlackBerry. Because I have the knowledge to develop BlackBerry programming. I said, well, great. We don't have to go outside.
Yeah.
These guys want $200,000
to
develop a software program. See what you can do. And he took that, and we ended up coming up with a system to download onto the Blackberries that accounted for a person's shelf space, new placements,
so
displays, and so forth.
You're creating revolutionary sales technology while you're at Monster. It's interesting. I interviewed a gentleman by the name of Lyndon Faulkner a couple months ago on the show. He's the CEO of Pelican, the cases.
Yeah.
He was a part of the team that invented the CD
Oh,
that became the CD-ROM. But what's fascinating is people like yourself and him creating technology within the companies that you're working for that resonate so well and become revolutionary, right? And things that change the face of the business. You know, and I would imagine that's one of the tools that's helped Monster become as successful as they are because they've got great accountability tools.
I like to think that we had a little something to do with that.
Yeah.
You know, some of our ideas, and it wasn't perfect technology, but and not everybody was happy with the accountability.
Yeah.
Because it brought out some things.
Yeah, brought out people's flaws.
Right. But it also brought out a lot of wonderful things.
Yeah.
You know, where's the brand going? How's shelf space developing? Where are we looking for the best opportunities? How do we account for managing that and scoring that? And I think that was great and, like you said, revolutionary in growing the brand.
Yeah. You know, we try to limit the show to an hour, and what I've enjoyed about your history is that, you know, it's been confidence in your morals and your values and applying those to every step of the way. And I know you had a successful career at Monster. The story ends very well for you.
Yes, it does.
You care to share any bit of what that story ends like for you?
Absolutely. So, as Monster wanted to expand into Europe, Middle East, South Africa, Asia, I had the opportunity before my mom passed to go to the UK to start working the brand in England. Well, unfortunately, because of my mom's health, I had to say no, so I stayed in the U.S. She passed several months later. Mark Hall came to me and he says, "Are you ready to go now?" I said, "Okay." He says, "Well, go out for 2 weeks, come back, and then find yourself a place to live and be prepared to move to London." And there were already 2 guys out there and maybe a total team of 6 from the U.S. helping out part-time. And they were doing an amazing job, but there was some struggle, and they had confidence enough in me to send me out there to help the business. And it ended up being several countries and several years of constant travel all around the world and meeting people and distributors and wholesalers and retailers from everybody from the biggest companies down to the mom and pop shops, you know, back in the favelas.
Yeah.
You know, back in the woods of Brazil.
Yeah.
It was just amazing. What an amazing experience.
I bet.
Yeah. So it ended really well. I retired a couple years ago on a health issue, and have really, it's very dear to my heart. The brand still is, and I look forward to the next adventure.
Yeah, what a great brand to be a part of. You did well there. You're comfortable. You're enjoying your life. You got some property out in the desert that you enjoy being at. Well, you know, I think we've had all different types of guests on the show, and I think what your story says about you and opportunity is that by working hard, having the values, being consistent, that you can have a very enjoyable life, a fruitful life. You can enjoy the companies you work for, and you know, even though times get tough, if you are that person, opportunities will come your way. And that's really the value that I get out of today's show from somebody like yourself and where your career's gone.
If I could add one thing for people is we all fail. Everybody does. Nobody's perfect and succeeds at everything they do. Failure is never the last option.
Yeah.
And it's never the end.
Yeah.
As long as you're facing up, that's your direction.
Good point.
Until you're face down, you've got somewhere to go.
Yeah, good point. Well, I appreciate that. Well, thank you for spending the time to be on the show and tell us about your life story. And, I can't wait to hear what you come up with next. I think we've got a few ideas. Maybe we can share them down the road with,
Thank you, Tim.
with what we're going to be doing. So thank you. Well, hey, as we wrap it up here on the answers, yes. Really appreciate Dennis spending some time with us, telling us about his life story. And, I've said it before, sometimes there isn't this huge wow factor to somebody's history, but yet at the same time, they've had successful careers and doing what they're passionate about, what they love. And I think it's important that we can learn from other people's career paths and how they've said yes to things and where they wound up. And I know that Dennis had such a wonderful career at Monster that's put him in a position to be retired and enjoying his life and now picking different projects that he wants to be a part of. So a snapshot into another person's life and how they became what they were and why they managed to see success. So that's great. If you like the show, you appreciate what you're hearing, please subscribe, share it with a friend. It means so much to me. And again, as I said every single time, please, every morning, write down the things that you know you have more than enough of, and I think we all just surprise ourselves. I just had the most wonderful weekend, by the way, with a friend, John Solomon, who was on the show in the past. He owns a place called Liquorama. He invited me up to his lake house, and I literally spent the least amount of time on my phone that I've probably spent in a very, very long time, and enjoyed the outdoors and the lake and some camaraderie of a friend. And I realized over the weekend just how much I have in my family and my kids and my friends. So, John, thanks for having me up there with the family. And I'm just very appreciative of where I'm at in my career. And I hope that you too, as a listener, can find the same happiness that I've found in so many others. So, again, what you believe is what you will achieve. Mark Victor Hansen, and I'm definitely living that life. So thanks for tuning in to The Answer's Yes.